Good evening to every heart that is listening tonight. I am not here to speak about perfection or about promises that sound too polished and too loud to feel genuinely believable. I am here to speak about something fragile, something that lives quietly and honestly inside the deepest part of the heart, where most people never allow their words to travel. Love is not always about happiness that shines like sunlight on a beautiful morning. Sometimes love is the quiet and persistent fear of losing someone who has slowly and completely become the reason behind your smile, the silence inside your comfort, and the warmth that fills your loneliest nights. When you truly love someone, you do not just want their presence for today and today only. You start praying for their tomorrow. You start hoping for their future, even in the versions of it you cannot see or fully imagine yet. And sometimes, in the deepest and most honest corner of the heart, there lives a fear that does not shout, but whispers softly and persistently. A fear that says, "My love, I am afraid of losing you." Because real love is not only about finding someone special in a world full of people passing through your life. It is about holding on to them in a world where everything else keeps changing without asking your permission. It is about protecting something precious in a life that does not always reward careful and gentle hands. And tonight I want to share that beautiful, painful, and completely honest feeling with everyone who has ever loved something deeply enough to be afraid of what its absence would feel like. I stand here not as someone who claims to understand love perfectly or completely, but as someone who has felt its quiet and unmistakable heartbeat living inside their chest. Love is not always loud in how it announces its presence. Love does not always arrive like thunder in the open sky or fireworks exploding across a dark night. Sometimes love walks slowly and silently, settling into the soft corners of your soul where ordinary words simply cannot reach without losing something important along the way. My love, I want to tell you something honestly and without the kind of decoration that makes truth feel less true. I am afraid of losing you, not because I doubt your heart or question the promise that lives between us. I am afraid because love, real love, is fragile in ways that strength cannot fully protect against. It is not built from stone and steel that can withstand anything the world throws at it without cracking. It is built from emotions, from memories, from shared warmth, and from the invisible threads that connect two hearts across distance and across the passage of time. When someone becomes your comfort, your peace, and your reason to smile without needing a specific cause or occasion, then the entire world suddenly begins to feel different in ways you did not anticipate. The sunrise starts carrying meaning it did not carry before. The night feels less lonely than it once did. Even silence begins speaking your name softly inside the quiet corners of the mind. Do you know what fear truly means when it lives inside love? Fear in love is not the thought that someone will hurt you deliberately or carelessly. Fear in love is the silent prayer living inside your heart that says, "Please do not let me wake up one morning and find that this beautiful and irreplaceable feeling has quietly disappeared while I was not paying close enough attention to protect it properly." Because losing someone you truly love is not simply about the physical fact of separation or distance. It is about losing the version of yourself that existed when you were with them, the version that felt softer and more open and more willing to believe in beautiful things. Love changes us in ways we do not always notice while the changing is happening. Love teaches us things we could not have learned any other way. Love makes us simultaneously softer and stronger and more genuinely human than we were before it arrived and rearranged the way we see everything around us. Sometimes I look toward the future and I see many possible roads stretching out in different directions. Some of those roads are bright and clear. Some are unknown and uncertain. Some are hidden inside shadows that have not yet lifted. But among all those possible roads and all those possible futures, there is one wish that lives quietly and consistently inside my heart without being asked to stay. I wish that wherever life takes us, your hand will still search for mine in the moments when the world feels heavy and uncertain. I wish that even when we are older than we are tonight, our hearts will still remember the private language of our love, without needing spoken words, to communicate what they feel toward each other. Because real love is not about collecting perfect moments and placing them carefully behind glass where they cannot be touched by difficulty. Real love is about choosing someone again and again and again, even when life becomes complicated and difficult and nothing is as simple as you hoped it would be. My love, I am afraid of losing you because you are not simply another person who exists somewhere inside my life. You are the meaning behind many small and beautiful things I had never noticed or appreciated before you arrived and changed the way I pay attention to the world. You are the reason I genuinely care about what tomorrow might bring. You are the thought that visits my heart quietly when I am sitting alone with my memories and the room is completely still. You are the gentle voice inside my mind that tells me, without any evidence beyond itself, that everything is going to be okay. And maybe love is not actually about removing fear completely from the experience of caring about someone deeply. Maybe love is about standing directly beside fear without flinching and saying, even though I am afraid, I will still choose to love you. Because love is courage that has decided to wear the clothes of vulnerability rather than hiding itself behind protection and distance. In this world, people often believe that strong love means never being afraid of anything, never feeling uncertain, never lying awake, wondering what would happen if the thing you cherish most was suddenly no longer there. But I believe that true love is precisely when you are afraid of losing someone, and yet you still open your heart every single morning like a flower opening slowly and faithfully to the sun, regardless of what the weather might bring that day. I am afraid of losing you because you have become the quiet music playing inside my soul. And if that music were to stop unexpectedly, I genuinely do not know how the silence would feel or how long it would take before the world started making any recognizable sound again. I am afraid because your smile has become my favorite story, the one I return to when other stories disappoint or confuse me. I am afraid because your presence has come to feel like home, and home is not something I ever want to find myself searching for again in loneliness after knowing what it feels like to have truly found it. If someday life tests us with distance or misunderstanding or simply with the weight of time itself passing and changing things around us, I hope we remember one simple and essential truth between us. Love is not measured by how perfectly two people manage to live alongside each other without friction or difficulty. Love is measured by how honestly two hearts try to stay genuinely connected even when the world outside is actively working to pull them apart or make staying feel harder than leaving. I do not promise you a life that arrives without problems or challenges or the kind of storms that test everything they touch. I do not promise that difficulty will never find us or that there will not be days when everything feels harder than it should. But I promise that this feeling living inside my chest will always try its best to protect what we share between us. Because when I say I am afraid of losing you, it is not weakness speaking or insecurity announcing itself. It is the purest and most honest form of love speaking quietly and truthfully through the language of human fear. I want our love to be like the sky that remains above every changing season, unchanged in its presence even when what it holds changes constantly beneath it. When happiness arrives, let us celebrate it like people who genuinely understand how rare and precious the feeling of joy actually is. When sadness comes, as it eventually comes for everyone, let us stand together like two shadows that have made a quiet agreement to never leave each other alone in the dark. My love, if one day I become unusually silent, search inside my eyes because there you will still find your name written in a language that only hearts that have truly known each other are able to read. If one day I become distant or far away for reasons neither of us fully chose, remember that distance cannot erase or diminish feelings that were born inside genuine and honest emotion. And if one day life asks me what I fear most in this world, I will answer softly and without hesitation. I am most afraid of losing the person who taught my heart how beautiful love can truly be. Because loving you is not a choice I made once in a single decisive moment and then never had to make again. It is a choice I make every single day when I breathe in the morning, and when I think of you without meaning to, and when I smile without a clear or immediate reason. It is the choice I make when I silently pray for your happiness in the quiet moments when prayer is the only language available to me. My love, I am afraid of losing you, not because I am weak or incapable of standing alone, but because what we have feels rare and pure and genuinely irreplaceable in a world that is too often loud and careless with the things that matter most. And maybe true love is not about never being afraid of anything. Maybe true love is about holding someone's hand with complete sincerity even while fear is standing right beside you. Love is a strange and deeply beautiful feeling that manages to live between two opposite emotions simultaneously without being destroyed by the contradiction. On one side, love brings comfort, happiness, and warmth that feels like standing in genuine sunlight after a long and difficult cold night. On the other side, love carries a silent fear that cannot be completely separated from the depth of what you feel. The fear of separation, the fear of distance that arrives without warning. The fear that one day the person who lives inside the most protected parts of your heart might walk quietly out of your life without fully understanding what they are taking with them when they go. But listen carefully to this truth. Real love is not the complete absence of fear. Real love is the courage that stands visibly and consistently stronger than the fear it coexists with every day. When you truly love someone, you start to care about things you never noticed before love arrived and sharpened your attention. The particular sound of their voice becomes something important that you would recognize anywhere. The specific way they smile becomes a memory you want to hold safely inside your heart for as long as memory is capable of holding anything at all. Their happiness starts feeling more genuinely valuable than your own immediate comfort. And then comes the quiet question that arrives inside the mind without being invited. What if I lose them? This question is not weakness revealing itself or insecurity demanding attention. This question is love speaking honestly through the full range of human emotion. Because only the people who truly understand the value of something are genuinely afraid of losing it. Love teaches us something very deep and very important about how to exist alongside another person. It teaches us that love is not about walking ahead of someone or behind them while they navigate their own life. Love is about walking directly beside them, sharing the same road, the same view, the same weather, the same moments of uncertainty, and the same moments of clarity. Separation is painful precisely because love creates genuine connection between two people who were separate before. When two hearts become emotionally close over time, they begin sharing memories, feelings, and even the unspoken things that words have not yet been invented to describe properly. And when distance comes and interrupts that closeness, the heart feels the missing space like a quiet and persistent echo living inside the soul. But courage in love is not a loud or dramatic thing. Courage in love is waking up every morning and making the deliberate choice to keep choosing the same heart, even when uncertainty about the future is sitting right beside you at the breakfast table. It is trusting that love is not only about the happiness available today, but about building the hope that makes tomorrow feel worth arriving at. People often believe that strong love means never being afraid of what could go wrong or what could change or what could be lost. But I believe strong love means feeling fear clearly and honestly, and still deciding every single day to stay and to try and to protect what two people have built together with their time and their trust and their emotional honesty. Because love is not something you own the way you own objects that can be locked away safely. Love is something you nurture with consistent and patient attention. Love is not something you chain down to keep it from leaving. Love is something freely and consciously chosen every single day by both of the people it connects. When two people decide to stay together despite the fear of what separation would feel like, they create something genuinely beautiful together. They create a story where love grows stronger than anxiety, stronger than distance, stronger than the passage of time that changes so many other things around it. So, yes, love is the fear of separation. But love is equally and simultaneously the quiet courage that whispers inside the honest heart, "I am afraid, but I am not going to let that fear decide for me." Love is not a single moment of feeling that arrives once and then requires nothing further from the people it touches. Love is not a one-time promise spoken under a beautiful sky on a night when everything feels easy and clear and certain. Love is not something that only functions properly when hearts feel happy and life feels uncomplicated and manageable. It is the daily decision to choose the same person again and again, even when life has become complicated, even when emotions have grown heavy, even when silence has settled between two hearts like an unspoken story waiting for someone to find the courage to continue it. Real love is waking up every single morning and choosing the same heart without requiring a specific reason why, because love is not only a feeling, love is commitment, choosing to live inside that feeling consistently. When two people truly love each other across time, their relationship becomes something far larger than the initial attraction that first brought them together and made them notice each other. It becomes trust built carefully over time. It becomes respect that does not disappear when circumstances become difficult. It becomes understanding developed through genuine listening. It becomes patience practiced even when patience feels nearly impossible. It becomes emotional safety that both people can rely on when the world outside feels unreliable and harsh. Love starts growing slowly, like a tree that needs time and water and sunlight and consistent care before it becomes something strong enough to stand against whatever weather arrives. And just like a tree, love also becomes strongest precisely in the moments when it faces the storms that test whether its roots are deep enough to hold. Sometimes people believe that love should be perfect in its nature and in its expression, that real love should never contain mistakes or doubt or confusion or fear. But perfection is simply not love's true nature and never has been. Love is human. Love makes mistakes and then finds its way back from them. Love feels doubt and chooses to stay anyway. Love fears sometimes and hopes always, even when the evidence for hope is not as strong as you would like it to be. Choosing the same heart every day means accepting someone not only in their most beautiful and easiest moments, but also in their most difficult and least graceful ones. It means understanding deeply that no person is perfect and that the beauty inside vulnerability is something worth seeing and honoring rather than avoiding. When someone is angry or tired or confused or emotionally broken in ways they cannot fully explain, love does not immediately turn and walk toward the exit. Love tries to stay. Love tries to listen for what is hiding behind the silence that the other person is using as a temporary shelter. Because sometimes people do not actually need someone to arrive with solutions and answers and a plan for making everything better. Sometimes people only need someone who is willing to sit beside them quietly without judgment, without impatience, without the unspoken demand that they recover faster or feel differently than they currently do. Love is not about winning the arguments that inevitably arise between two people living real and imperfect lives together. Love is about protecting the heart of the person you are arguing with, even while the argument is still happening around you. When two people genuinely love each other across time and difficulty, they begin building invisible bridges across the misunderstandings that would otherwise grow into permanent distances. Those bridges are constructed carefully from patience and forgiveness and emotional maturity that both people work to develop in themselves for the sake of what they share. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful and most underestimated languages of love, because every relationship that lasts long enough will face moments when words land harder than intended, when emotions become unstable and unpredictable, when distance appears suddenly inside communication and neither person is entirely sure how it got there or how to remove it. But love chooses to heal rather than to punish the other person for being human. Love chooses understanding rather than pride. Love chooses continued connection rather than the temporary satisfaction of letting ego win. Choosing the same heart every day also means genuinely respecting the freedom that must exist inside love if love is going to remain healthy and honest over time. True love does not imprison the soul it most cares about. True love actively allows the other person to continue growing, to keep dreaming, to breathe freely in the space the relationship creates around them. Love is not the act of saying you belong to me in a way that slowly reduces the other person's world to only what fits inside your comfort. Love is the feeling that says, I am genuinely lucky and grateful to be allowed to walk alongside you. When someone becomes truly important in your life, ordinary and small things begin carrying deep and unexpected meaning. A simple message arriving at the right moment becomes a specific kind of happiness. A particular smile becomes a comfort you carry with you. Love is also about responsibility toward the heart that has trusted you with its most honest and vulnerable parts. If you truly love someone, you must protect their heart with the same seriousness with which you would protect your own from being carelessly hurt. You must be honest even in the moments when truth feels difficult and uncomfortable to speak aloud. You must remain loyal, not because someone is watching your behavior and keeping score, but because your heart has genuinely decided that this commitment matters and is worth the effort it requires. Because real love is not a performance put on for the approval of the people around you. Real love is lived quietly and consistently inside the private space between two hearts that have chosen each other as worthy of their best and most honest attention. And every morning when you wake up and make the choice to keep choosing the same heart you chose the day before, you are saying something powerful without needing to find the exact words for it. You are saying, I believe in what we are building together. You are saying, I respect the story we have created between us. You are saying, I want our future to continue existing and growing in the direction of something beautiful. Time changes people in ways that cannot always be predicted or prevented. Life changes situations and circumstances in ways that test everything they touch. But love that is consciously chosen every single day becomes stronger with the passage of time, rather than weaker. The way certain things become more valuable and more beautiful, the longer they survive the things that tried to diminish them. Love is also a prayer whispered sincerely and repeatedly inside the heart. When you truly love someone, you begin praying for their happiness in a way that does not require them to be present or aware that you are doing it. Even when they are far away, even when they are silent and you have not heard their voice in longer than feels comfortable, even when you cannot see their face or reach them through the usual channels of communication, love becomes a kind of quiet conversation between your soul and the universe on their behalf. You begin wishing good and specific things for the person you love, not because you expect something to be returned to you in exchange, but because their happiness has somehow become indistinguishable from your own in the way your heart experiences and processes the world. Real love is not selfish in its most essential nature. Real love does not approach the relationship with the constant background question of what will I receive from this. Real love approaches the relationship with the question of whether the person it cares about is genuinely okay and genuinely moving toward the life they deserve. Trust is the foundation on which love stands or falls more than almost any other single element. Without trust, love becomes fragile and anxious and prone to cracking under the pressure of ordinary life. With trust, love becomes something strong enough to stand against the wind and time, and all the forces that regularly test what two people have built between them. When two hearts genuinely trust each other, distance cannot break their emotional connection. Silence cannot destroy their mutual understanding. Misunderstandings cannot permanently erase the truth of what they feel. Trust is not something that arrives fully formed at the beginning of a relationship and then simply remains in place without maintenance. Trust is built slowly and carefully through honesty practiced even when honesty is uncomfortable, through patience maintained even when patience feels nearly exhausted, through consistency demonstrated especially in the moments when inconsistency would be easier and less demanding, through emotional respect shown even when emotions are running high and the temptation to be careless with someone's heart is stronger than usual. If you love someone, be honest with them even when truth feels difficult to deliver, because hidden truth creates distance inside hearts that were trying to stay close. Honest love, even when it is complicated, creates peace inside the soul that dishonest comfort never can.